both we need to be helping each other because that's how jacked up we are. We can't afford in many ways to say it's not my job, right? So we're in a state of emergency where we can't afford it. Like we can't afford not to share, you
Yeah.
know,
No, seriously.
because survival, we're at a survival risk now, right? You know, the best thing a man can always do is walk in his masculinity unapologetically, walk in it. Right. Now, but then that goes into has he been taught also, which is not the question, but that becomes a part of that. But a man has to walk in his masculinity and it has to be unapologetic. And the reason it has to be unapologetically is because the only way for her to understand what her femininity is to see that reflection and to never be allowed to be over on this side. So if a man is unapologetic, then she has no choice but to take up the opposite. You understand? So that's one of the best ways to do it is to learn how to be unapologetically masculine. And there is no apology for my stances on things, how I deal with things, how I deal with you, how I deal with our security, how I deal with decision making, how I deal with providing for us, how I deal with planning. There's no apologies for it. Now, once a man does that and he doesn't allow the woman to slide over into that area, then she has no choice but to adapt and be where she's supposed to be in order for her to exist. Okay,
Hmm.
so just in that itself, you're providing the safety and the shelter for her to be in her feminine and giving her the ability to learn it as as she goes. Now, of course, you can always buy books, also along the way. You can always, speak about these things to her. But the best way for a woman to learn it if she doesn't and be forced to adapt into it, embracing it, is to deal with the man who's unapologetic.
Mm.
Now, I will also add that I was just speaking about this uh, recently about the time period that we live in because um, we do live in a time period where women have made being a woman it's given it like a circus performer degree of difficulty, as if in order to be a woman, you're learning how to be an Olympic balance beam, balance beam Olympian or something, right?
Right.
Everything about being a woman is just hard. It's difficult, and this is the first time I've ever seen it throughout history. I've never studied history and seen any time women have not rejoiced in being women, right? But today it's different. And at the same time, you have women who are unapologetically victims while being unapologetically wanting to say that they are the supreme being, and it just doesn't work. You can't be, God and a victim. It just, you got to pick a side, right? And so that becomes a big part of what society has done. Society has duped women, and women have fallen for it and women have been under attack. So we have to understand it. Because, if we're going to, talk about it, then it's got to be from a place of respect, honor, and understanding. Because the current condition is not necessarily one that she walked into like, oh, I wanted to be this way. But women have been under attack forever. Everything that we see in society in the United States is an attack on the womb. Everything. It's an attack on the womb. Music, the colors, the noise, changing things from changing the phones and your signals from analog and beta to what are we on now?
3G, 5G.
but it's another word for it. We're not on analog. We're on. It's going to come to me in a second. But we've changed the frequency, which is disrupting the earth and all these things. But this attacks the womb and it attacks the woman. And if you can attack the women in the society, and if you can keep women in a state of heightened fear, men don't need to be in a state of heightened fear. Women do. You keep women in a state of heightened fear, then you can control society forever. And the reason why is because if she's in a state of heightened fear, then she produces children who are in that state. So the children have no choice but to be replicas of the one that produced them, the one that incubated them.
Mhm.
And so women have been under attack for a long time. So this state that women are in is not without purpose. Okay. And so that has to be understood as to how how the woman got here, and when we hear it, there's also the correction within society that's going on that we got to understand.